Many blessings. Welcome to the Circle of Heka. I'm Lady Amaris. So this is the most requested video of and I actually filmed this, I think, this time last year, but things just got hectic, as they say, and it just stayed in my camera, and I haven't actually had a chance to edit it. So when I've actually looked at it, I realized that I made a rookie mistake and breathed in when I was creating the oil. So don't do that. It's not good for the sarcophagus. It's not good for the neck. I won't even try to pronounce it. It's not. Apparently, it's not the day for pronouncing words properly. Rookie mistake. Don't breathe in while, don't stick your face over and have a good breathe in, because you'll be coughing and spluttering, and your eyes will be watering, and you'll be praying for death. So don't do that. So this is the recipe that I used. Well, most of the recipe that I used for the F-off and dye oil that I used in the video on freezer jar, freezer spells. So that was the most requested thing that I've had is, you can do a video on that. Can I have a video on that? So here it is. Enjoy. Okay, so you can cleanse your bottle, so you can do that by washing it, obviously, but you can also use a incense. I'm using Palo Santo here, which is quite easy to get these days in Australia, not so much previously, but so you just cleanse the bottle, let the smoke get into the bottle, and make sure that anything that's been associated with the bottle is just cleansed and clear of that, and only the energy that you want in that bottle is going to be there. A little bit of making sure that it's burnt, and just doing the cork as well, just to make sure that everything is nice and cleansed. So once that's done, you'll want to then start collecting all of your bits and pieces. So I've used a skull bottle here. You can use any bottle, I've just used it for effect. And also when you're putting bits and pieces in, you want to use a funnel if you can. If not, then just try and put those little bits and pieces in the bottle. If you don't like bits and pieces in your oil once it's been done, then you can always use a different bottle to create the oil, and then once it's hit its potency, then you can put it into a nice little bottle like this. So the first ingredient I have is black pepper. Now this is a good way to get rid of others' hexes and also just for hex work in general. And what I will do is, with all of my herbs, I will charge them, and then I'll also charge them once they're in the bottle, so let them know what it is that they need to do. Next is dried chilies, so I can do some whole or crushed ones. Now these are for heat and discomfort. It's for the energy of just getting someone to leave the area, or making them feel uncomfortable around you, or whatever it happens to be. That's what the chilies are used for. And we're just mashing them up a little bit. And this is where you can add energy into your herbs as you're doing things. You can, as you're pounding those herbs and mashing them up, you can be putting that intent into those herbs, putting that energy in there, so that's there nice and crushed up. Have a nice amount of seeds, as well as the other bits and pieces. Now I found that my little funnel was just a little bit too small to put some of the larger pieces of bits and pieces in, so I didn't end up using that. As you can see here, I'll try to put some of them in, but it doesn't quite work as easily as I would like. So I just went to the old-fashioned method of taking it from my hand and putting it in. So then you can then charge those herbs again when they are in the bottle. I like to do kind of like a double, triple, just keep doing it layer upon layer upon layer. It's up to you. This will be your oil. And not all of the bits and pieces that I put into this oil I'll be showing. And that's because I believe that you need to put some of your own magic in there, some of your own bits and pieces. So this is a good base to start, and it gives you a chance to just put in a little bit of extra just to make this oil your own and have your own magic. So this next one is some poppy seeds. Now put poppy seeds in there to create confusion so that the person is, their brain is befuddled, their brain is just like a little bit foggy and mushy, and they are easily, let's say easily influenced for the way that you want them to go. And so obviously this is a F-off oil, so you want to influence them in the direction of going away from you, and their will is befuddled and not as strong as it probably is. So they're more susceptible to being dominated by your will. And again, you charge them, telling them exactly what it is that you want to do. And you can see now you've got a nice little bit of a layer of herbs. Now I usually, especially with bottles this small, I usually say like less is more. So the next we have is Agrimony. So this is used to on targets and uses their own malicious energy against them. So that's always a good thing. You'd rather use other people's energy than deplete your own energy. So again, as you are using, as you're crushing up the herbs, you can be adding your own energy and your own intent in there, telling the herb what it is that you want it to do, how you want it to work, and so that it can utilize its energies accordingly for your oil. You can then place it, as you can see, I'm using the old method of just jamming it in there. So whatever you like, whether you want to be down and dirty or you want to use a nice funnel. Next one is Vervain, and this is for your own protection and repelling energies from others. So this I put in there so that lots of people get worried about doing malicious work or work where you are putting your own will onto someone else and telling them basically to get out of your space, which is what this oil is for. But they still feel a little bit worried about whether that's going to bounce back on them. So this is what it's used for. It's to help to protect that. We've got ginger. Ginger's always good for adding energy to your spells, adding a little bit of heat and getting that spell to start to work a little bit faster. So a little bit of ginger. This one's a bit of sulphur. And this one is used for banishing, a lot of banishing in different areas. And it's also for that toxic effect. Sulfur is not something that you want to be eating. So it's used in the idea of making something again noxious, something that somewhere that someone doesn't want to be. Again, that's what the oil is for. So with each placing of a herb or whatnot, I'm charging. I'm adding energy into this concoction. Next one here, we've got a little bit of Mandrake Root. It's kind of the witch's herb, and this is again for protection, for your own protection. And we have a little bit of graveyard dirt. That's for binding and also for your own protection. So you binding that person up. You can be grounding them into the ground and other malicious things if you like. Now I've got a bit of an animal parts warning if you're a little bit squeamish. We have a bit of dried spider. Now this one here is a white-tailed spider that you get in Western Australia. I'm not sure if you get them in other parts of Australia, but they're one of those spiders that walk around and hunt other spiders. They're also poisonous to a lot of people, and they have been linked with, I'm going to butcher the pronunciation, but the necrophagiitis, so basically the flesh-eating disease. So some people who have been bitten by it, they also develop, a flesh-eating disease. So all quite nice for you to put into an oil such as this, because you have something that's going to hunt down your prey and then give it a bit of necro so they're going to hunt down your prey. So I've just smashed it up a little bit. Now, when you're adding any kind of animal part, whether it being an insect or if you're using any kind of part of an animal, also always make sure that it's dry when you put it into your oil. Don't have anything that's wet. Now, this is a dead spider. I didn't kill it myself. It was I found it dead. So, there's that. It depends on how you go, whether you're good with killing certain things for your magic or you're just using opportunity and finding it. So again, we've got a nice layering of different herbs and spices and animal parts all mixing together for your lovely concoction in the the nice little skull glass that we have there. So again, a few little bits and pieces. So these are just a few things that you can add in. You can add in a lot more that I haven't put in here. So this is just the basic, let's say, base oil. You can add more things in that you want. Don't just add things in for the sake, but make sure that they have a reason for being there and you understand what that reason is. So next we're putting some oil in. Now I always like to use a bit of grapeseed oil. You can also use olive oil, and add a pinch if you want to. You can use vegetable oil, canola oil. Vegetable oil and canola oil are pretty rancid things to start off with. So if you want to go in the idea of it being horrible and rancid for that person, then you can use those oils. So whatever oil that you have access to, you can use. And you can see that looking quite nice. You've got all those little bits and pieces in there. And just shaking it up again, you can use this bit of kinetic energy to add some energy to your oil. And what you'd want to do is you want to shake it up, and with the intent that what the oil is for, and you're adding energy to that. So every day for at least 6 weeks you want to do that. Now, this is one of the things that you don't usually see people do, and this is what I do with my oils. Now, as you can see, the oil is very different. So I didn't film this originally when I created the oil. This is the oil a year to 6 months after. So you can see how it's got such a lovely hue now that it didn't have when I first created it. And I've got it on a little plate, and there's actually a little pizza plate that I found, which is quite good for writing sigils and symbols on, and you can use that to charge your oils. Now I have a little candle on top. You can have you can use a tea light, or you can use a designated candle and actually have that wax dripping down, and that would add to the effect if you like that aesthetic. But you would want to make sure that you've got in a place where things aren't going to be dropped, or you're being safe with the candle. You are adding energy to your spell. You're picking it up, you're shaking it, you're getting it in intention. You can also, what I like to do with some of these more noxious oils, I like to play music that is a little bit, has some energy in it that is not not nice. I like to actually say things to the oil, yell at the oil, curse the oil. All of those sorts of things. You can write a nice little curse that you want to say as you are shaking up the oil, or looking at the oil as you're playing some kind of music. All of this to add energy to that. Okay, well, welcome back, and this is the finished oil. It's obviously looks a lot different than it did in the previous one because it's had a year to percolate. And again, you can put it in any container that you like. I've just put it in one of these because I had it lying around, and it's good for some visual effect, but it's not mandatory that it must go into a skull container. Yeah, so I hope you enjoyed that, and many blessings.
If you like this video and want to see more, please click on the links provided. If you think this witchcraft thing may be for you, please subscribe. Blessed be.